on Facebook Live also. Huh?
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I, Yash Khanna, welcome you all to our sixth webinar of Well Said by Nike Well. Today's topic of our webinar is Markets After Lockdown. As you all know, our today's expert is Mr. Navneet Manot, the Chief Investment Officer, SBI Mutual Funds. Before starting, I would like to thank each one of you by attending our webinar and sharing the same with family and friends. I would also like to thank each one of you for encouraging us and motivating us to come up with a new well set topic every week with the industry expert. Today's session is divided into three parts. First part will be the expert speak. Second part is the question and answer round by my colleague Amay. Third part is word of thanks by my colleague Rishabh. Now, I would like to hand over to Mr. Nikhil Naik, the Chief Growth Officer of NikeWell, to say a few words. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Yash, and thank you everyone for joining us. And we've been doing this ever since the lockdown started and trying to reach out to each one of you. I'm delighted to have Navneet sir today, and I've been privileged to be part of some of the panels with him. One of the finest speakers I've come. We had one investor awareness program where you had come and he had actually fractured his leg, and despite that, he managed to come and speak for to our investors. So I think his commitment and his passion towards communicating to the community, to the investing world, has been amazing. So thank you very much, Navneet sir. And I would also like to thank all our 6,000 investor family who've been extremely supportive to all of us. Entire Nike Wealth organization, all of us are working digitally from home. We've been able to reach out to people for their investment needs, for their investment reviews. In these tough times, we could manage their investments because we could set aside some emergency funds and some of the basic fundamentals that they actually applied in their investments. I'm also happy to share, Navneet sir, that some of the investors have been more than 10, 12, 15 years. So they've really seen the cycles, and they're all looking forward to your session today. So I thank you everyone for joining us, and I look forward, as much as everyone is looking forward to Navneet's session, I am also looking forward to your session today. So Yash,
Yeah.
over to you, Yash.
Thank you so much, Nikhil sir, for your words. Going forward with the webinar, I would like to invite each one of you for our upcoming webinar, which is on Wednesday 27. So here's an introduction about our today's speaker, Mr. Munaf. He joined SBI Fund Management as Chief Investment Officer in December 2008. He has over 25 years of rich experience in financial markets. He is the chairman of Indian Association of Investment Professionals, the Indian Society of CFA Charter Holders. In his previous assignment, he was the executive director and head multi-strategy boutique with Morgan Stanley Investment Management. He has worked as investment officer at Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. He is also a nominee director on the board of SBI Pension Funds Private Limited. He is a graduate in accountancy and business statistics and a qualified chartered accountant. He is also a charter holder of CFA Institute and CAIA Institute. He has also done FRM. Not taking any more time of yours, sir. I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, and it's always a pleasure to be with you and all your clients. I think I and Nikhil go a very, very long time, and with SBI Mutual Fund, our relationship has been very, very deep for a very long time. And I really appreciate the way you take care of clients, and even in these times when a lot of handholding is needed, the kind of programs you have been doing, the kind of digital support that you have provided, and as he rightly mentioned in the beginning that the way asset allocation has been done for a long time. And one of the things about Nikhil is very particular about ensuring that there is liquid money in every client's portfolio to meet emergency needs. And when times like these come, I think people appreciate some of those things that he has always been very, very particular about. Talking about the health crisis, economic crisis, and markets, first I'll tell you about the health crisis. My view is that it came as a complete shock to the world in the month of March. Of course, the crisis has been there since November or December, but the prevailing view was that it's a more China-specific issue. Maybe as the summer sets in, things would be fine. Most of the countries took it lightly. Thankfully, in India, we started with a very, very stringent lockdown, which has helped us in dealing with it relatively better than most of the other countries. Most of the other countries also had to follow social distancing and a lockdown in the world. My sense is that in the last few months, our view has been that increasingly the focus would start shifting from survival only to revival also. So while all of us were looking at jaan hai to jahan hai, survival karna hai, abhi I think dheere 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 the public discourse has started moving towards revival also. And that's why while people will have to wait and watch how the any innovation on the vaccine front, any innovation on medication, any innovation on antibody test, etc. Lot of work is going on globally. I mean, if you hear the experts across the world, there are a lot of interesting experiments going on. The most optimistic view for a vaccine may be by end of the year or 1 year, but a realistic view could be even longer than that. And some people, skeptics, are talking about that there have been a lot of other diseases in the world, I mean, like HIV and all, where we have not been able to find a vaccine. So you don't know. And that's why uncertainty will continue on this front. So my view has been that the world will have to start to come to terms with it, that we may have to learn to live with it. And I always give this example of the road travel or the air travel. In the beginning, there were a lot of risk in the air travel. There used to be a lot of air crashes. But over a period of time, we started building more and more safety measures, and air travel has become the safest travel in the world. Similarly, on the road travel, so what we have done, better roads, better, I mean, you have the divider, you have the lighting, you have the traffic police, you need a license if you're driving a vehicle. It's just like you need to have an antibody test or something if you are going in public place. Over a period of time, something similar will happen. So just like in car, you have a seat belt, airbags. If you're driving a two-wheeler, you have a helmet. I think there has to be a lot of innovation of that type. So innovation on protective gear, innovation on disinfection, innovation on sanitization and all of that, because you cannot keep the economy locked for too long. And ultimately, dheere dheere, we'll have to do a balancing between the stringency of the lockdown or the social distancing and the economic damage it can cause. Because the fear is that if we are very strict on the lockdown, then the economic output will go down very substantially. So there is the one way to deal with it in the very near term, what every government in the world is doing, coming with a lot of monetary stimulus. So central banks are cutting interest rates everywhere. Central banks are printing a lot of money. They are providing moratorium to the borrowers. I'm seeing some messages people are writing, voice is audible, not audible. Is it audible, Harsh, Nikhil?
Yes, sir, it is audible.
Okay,
It's
right.
going well.
Sure. So I think a lot of stimulus has been provided. Globally, we can discuss more in detail if you have interest about the global markets, global economy, etc. Now, coming to India, we were right at the top in the world in terms of stringency of the lockdown. And that's why so far on the health damage, India has done relatively better. Of course, there are more than 1 lakh cases now. The number of deaths that have happened, particularly in the larger cities like Mumbai, I mean, we will have to wait and watch the situation. But on the other side, the stimulus was lower. But last few days, you have ever heard about the big 20 lakh crore stimulus. Now, I'll just take 3-4 minutes to explain that 20 lakh crore of stimulus to you. Why it is required? Because when you have a lockdown, the economic activity is going to get impacted very, very severely. A lot of people ask me what kind of GDP growth will be there in 2020-21. Nobody really knows, honestly. Simple calculation that you have 12 months in a year. Every month is like, if you divide like 100 rupee of GDP into 12 months, then every month is like 8.5 rupees. If 1 month lockdown, 8.5 gone. 2 month lockdown, 16.5 or 17 gone. Now, if the 50% of the economy working, still 8% gone in 2 months. If 33% working, then maybe 6%. I mean, so a lot of output has already gone, and you don't know in the near term how long will it take to get back to normalcy. So then governments will have to spend money and contain the damage. So what governments have done, so just to give you this color about the 20 lakh crore, I'm sure everybody would have heard about it. We can discuss more in detail a little later if there is interest. A large part of that 20 lakh crore is the monetary stimulus, which RBI had announced or RBI is still announcing, like what they did yesterday. So what RBI has done, interest rate cut, lot of liquidity they have pumped into the banking system, almost 8-9 lakh crores of liquidity RBI has put in the banking system. They provided 90 days moratorium, which they extended yesterday again because the lockdown has got extended. So obviously businesses will need more time to pay their EMIs or loan repayments, allowing a little bit of restructuring. And a lot of things that RBI is trying to do so that banks are in a position to go and give loans to the people. They can go and give the credit to the businesses, to individuals who need it today. But despite so much of money that RBI has printed, 8-9 lakh crore rupees, if you ask any business person, they would say that we are not getting any money here, any money from the banks. Even some of the top rated companies which are rated AA or even some of the AAA are finding it difficult to borrow money. On one side, if you have investment in overnight fund, they are delivering 2-3%. On other side, some of the AAAs have to borrow money at 9-10%. So there is a huge difference. So what government has tried to do with the fiscal stimulus is providing like a lot of guarantees. For example, for micro enterprises, SMEs, MSMEs, some of the exporters, etc., where government is saying that if banks lend money, then a part of the loss in case, let's say there is an NPA, will be taken by the government, so that banks feel more comfortable in lending to those businesses, and businesses can come back to normalcy. So I told you about 20 lakh crore, 8-9 lakh crores is RBI, remaining 11-12 lakh crores is government. But that 11-12 lakh crore is not like a spending money in 1 year. A large part of it is guarantees or a lot of other things, deferment of TDS. There are companies like Power Finance Corporation, Rural Electricity Corporation. They will borrow 90,000 crores from the market and give that money to the state power distribution companies, because लोग बाग यूटिलिटी बिल नहीं पे कर रहे हैं, कंपनीज बंद, प्लांट अगर बंद है, पैसा नहीं आ रहा है अगर डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन कंपनीज को पावर को, तो जो पावर जनरेटर्स है उनको पैसा नहीं मिल रहा है, तो पूरी चेन में प्रॉब्लम है. तो गवर्नमेंट ने पीएफसी को बोला कि आप थोड़ा सा पैसा मार्केट से बोरो करके दे दीजिए, तो वो भी काउंटेड है उसमें. और इस तरह के काफी स्कीम्स है. टोटल स्पेंडिंग अगर हम देखें ऑफ दिस टोटल 11-12 lakh crores is around 2-3 lakh, not more than 2 or 3 lakh crore, which will be actually spend money. So one of the item is NREGA, where government was supposed to spend 60,000 crores, that amount has gone to 1 lakh crore. To me, that amount should be increased very substantially. Because in schemes like NREGA, what happens that one, you are giving a job to a person who doesn't have a job. That person, when he gets the money, he or she has to spend that immediately, because they will go and consume, they will buy food, they will buy some clothes, they will buy some basic necessity. So money will come into the circulation and consumption will go up. And then on the other side, some capital asset will get created, because when you are employing these people in NREGA, you are also creating some asset. And my view is that government should actually substantially increase the amount in those kind of schemes, maybe PM Awas Yojana, maybe the PM Rural Roads, and all of those kind of schemes where you get higher economic activity, because demand stimulus is needed in the economy. Every individual will cut their spending. Every business is going to defer their spending. People are now cutting salaries. They are firing people. They are not paying bonuses. They are deferring all kinds of expenditure. Then the economy is coming to a standstill. Now, to give confidence to the economy, it's only the government of India or the state governments who can borrow money and spend money. And today is a time when, apart from the government, people like you and me will be very, very thrifty. And that's why my view is that maybe government will have to come and spend more money than what they've done. So there are 3 or 4 aspects of this entire 20 lakh crore package. Number one, as I said, a large part of it is RBI. What the government and RBI together are trying, कि banks जाके लोगों को lend करे, large businesses, small businesses, NBFCs, HFCs, all kinds of borrowers. Banks become less risk averse and go and lend the money. So all of these schemes which have been announced, they are directed towards कि कैसे हमने RBI ने जो monetary stimulus दिया है, उसका पूरा leverage किया जा सके, उसका पूरा advantage लिया जा सके. Because banks 6-7 लाख करोड़ रुपए रोज RBI को डिपॉजिट करा रहे थे 3.75% पर, कल रेट कम हो गई तो 3.25% पे 3.5% पे करेंगे. बट बैंक्स को कैसे फोर्स किया जाए कि ज्यादा लेंडिंग हो सके. दूसरा जो मैंने बताया, काफी जो गवर्नमेंट की थोड़ी बहुत स्पेंडिंग है. तीसरा एस्पेक्ट जो है वो ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है स्टॉक मार्केट के पर्सपेक्टिव से, फ्रॉम ए लॉन्ग रन पर्सपेक्टिव. In the near term, stimulus is impacted, which is a reform program, which is also part of this stimulus program. So there have been very important reforms that have been announced, particularly on the agriculture side. Dismantling of APMC, there are talks about removal of the Essential Commodities Act. These were the things that were, implemented in 1950s, 60s, etc. They've lost their relevance, and today we need to completely reimagine our agriculture sector. There's a lot of potential in our agriculture in terms of price discovery, in terms of value addition, in terms of becoming a large power in the agri export, etc. So some of those reforms are targeted towards that. आपने वो भी सुना होगा PSU divestment का या privatization का, कि government will identify only strategic sectors. अगर आप strategic sector में हो तो 3-4 PSU हर एक सेक्टर में ज्यादा से ज्यादा हो सकते हैं. Other PSUs, they would like to get them listed. They've talked about opening of the coal mining sector, and where private sector can participate. India has a large reserves of coal, but we are an importer of coal because of our policies. So I think the government is talking about that. A lot of talks around. एक बहुत interesting चीज है जो इतनी discuss नहीं हुई है. State government जो है इंडिया में, they can borrow up to 3% of GDP every year. Just like central government, state governments also issue bonds in the market. With this, what government has announced is that they can borrow more amount of money. Instead of 3% of GDP, 5% of the GDP. But that 2% additional borrowing is contingent on few criteria. Their ranking on ease of doing business, their implementation of one nation, one ration card, their reforms on the power tariff side, power TNC losses, DISCOM companies जो होती हैं, power distribution companies reforms, and also on the urban development ranking on that. So some of these kind of criteria, and this can create a healthy competition among the states to become more business friendly, more investment friendly, more administrative reforms, which could be very good in the long run. So while market wanted a lot more demand stimulus. The government spends a lot of money today to create jobs, to support the businesses, to support the economy. That amount is less, but I'm hopeful, just like market is hopeful, that government will spend more money. But another interesting aspect that we should not lose sight of is the reform program, which may be with a lot of reform announcements that can come over the next few months, because there are a lot of structural opportunities for India. Very briefly, before I come to the markets, while there are a lot of risk in the near term, and nobody really knows how much is the damage on the economy going to be. There are a couple of challenges for India. Our fiscal situation is not as strong like some of the other countries कि जहाँ पे उन्होंने इतना बड़ा fiscal stimulus और spending announce कर दिया. In US, they have given a hard cash of like $1,200 per person to every individual. I mean, Indian government does not have that kind of money. Financial sector में already कुछ challenges थे. Parts of private sector banks, parts of NBFCs, HFCs, etc. It was not in that strong a situation. So that was another challenge. Some of the other sectors, even before the corona crisis, were facing certain troubles like auto sector, real estate, construction, and all of that. And now problems have got compounded. But there are a lot of positives also for India. And I'll just list maybe 3-4 of them very quickly, and then I come to market, so that it gives you a sense in terms of how are we looking at market, how are we looking at our portfolios. One of the positive for India is, I think on the external side, we have a very large amount of foreign exchange reserves. कल आपने गवर्नर को सुना होगा, RBI गवर्नर को, $485-86 billion of reserves. They are more than enough to buy 12 months of imports of India. और imports इस साल कम हो जाएंगे. Because of the fall in crude oil prices, because imports are going to come down, and now there's a lot of talk about this vocal for local. Government is trying to promote more and more local manufacturing and local product consumption. Then imports काफी कम हो जाएंगे. हो सकता है इंडिया में current account surplus आ जाए इस साल. And with this, I mean, some of the FDI deals that have got announced, despite the FII outflows, rupee has been doing well, and large amount of foreign exchange reserves, government can utilize that in a productive manner. In fact, we are saying, why doesn't government go and buy crude oil from that, or maybe create an equity fund to support some of the entities, etc. The other positive for India is the rural economy so far is less impacted by this. Looks like this is more an urban problem than the rural problem, but we have to wait and watch. ये जो migrant labor वापस जा रही है गांवों में, उसका क्या impact होगा, we'll have to wait and watch. But looks like as of now it's less, and rural economy has been doing well. Because you have the good monsoon, good crop, higher prices, then a lot of this government ka spending will happen. Plus gold prices have gone up so much last 4 or 5 years. They have a positive health effect. In last few years, rural electricity, rural banking, rural digital connectivity, rural road connectivity all have improved. So there's a possibility. And now that a lot of land and labor reforms are being announced by state governments, हो सकता है rural economy ठीक करे. Then there are a lot of opportunities for India from what is happening currently. So अगले कई सालों तक मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है that healthcare पे बहुत खर्चा होगा पूरे world में. हर country will spend so much of money on healthcare. India can take advantage of that. I was listening to Adar Poonawala of Serum Institute 2 दिन पहले. India is the vaccine capital of the world. 70% of the vaccines in the world, 70% of the vaccines in the world are manufactured in India. So कुछ भी अगर होता है vaccines में या healthcare में और spending होगी, people will, I mean, the governments globally will spend a lot of money on healthcare industry. It could be a Y2K movement for India, just like Y2K movement gave, birth to a large IT industry in India. जिस तरह से digital technology का usage बढ़ेगा. Now the way we are doing these conferences, every business is working from home. Governments are trying to deliver services from home. So whether it's e-health, e-education, e-governance, e-entertainment, e-payments, e-commerce, maybe e-judiciary. I mean, and India has a big power on the digital side, because in last few years with this whole data revolution which has happened in India, and I keep saying that a lot of people say that for 20th century it was oil, 19th century was about coal, 21st century is about data. And if data is the new oil, then India is going to be that powerhouse, because we consume more data per capita. We consume more data than even China and United States. So I think India is emerging as a data powerhouse. You might have heard about this Facebook investment in one of the platform. This is not a comment on that company or a stock, but it just shows the power of the digital revolution which is happening in India. And there could be more and more companies globally who would look towards India, and India can also innovate a lot more on the digital side. So while there are a lot of challenges, a lot of uncertainty, but there are several positives. And one of the things that I always say that reforms always happen out of compulsion. Reforms never happen out of conviction. Conviction से बड़े reform नहीं होते हैं. Reform कोई बड़े compulsion से ही होते हैं. So जब 1991 में बड़ा balance of payment crisis आया, जब इंडिया को अपना गोल्ड प्लेज करना पड़ा और we had only $1 billion of foreign exchange reserves. Today we are talking about $486 billion. तभी वो 91 में liberalization हुआ, globalization हुआ, and it was like a different kind of country that we have seen in last 29-30 years. And again today, because first time in our lifetimes, we are going to see a negative GDP growth in the world as well as in India. And that's why you will see reforms which otherwise may not have happened. In last few years, some interesting good reforms have happened like GST or IBC or the way financialization happened. But now you'll see some very important reforms in the financial sector, land reforms, labor reforms, a lot of other administrative, judicial reforms, which otherwise may not have happened because we need so much of global money. And one of the last thing that could be positive for India in the long run is what's happening in global geopolitics. Even before the corona crisis, there was this trade war going on between China and US. And after the corona crisis, almost har ek country in the world is getting there is huge animosity towards China now. Everybody is very suspicious of China. Also think about a business where पूरा supply chain आपका China से आ रहा है या पूरा manufacturing आपका China में था. People would like that to shift somewhere else. And India could be a good place for them because India has a large domestic demand, we have a large demographics, we have a large supply of labor force, skilled, semi-skilled, unskilled labor supply. Next 30-40 years, China में already population aging हो रही है. Some of the other Asian countries like Japan, वहाँ पे भी population aging हो रही है. So India में possibility है that some of the supply chain shifts to India. I'm sure you would have already heard a lot about it. I won't repeat that, but we've already seen in electronic sector and chemicals, and there could be some more sectors where the supply chain shift. But again, I will repeat that we have to compete with a lot of other countries. Taiwan Semiconductor ने एक बहुत बड़ा plant, sorry, $12-13 billion का announcement किया कि वो they are going to put up a new manufacturing plant in US. So we have to compete with all countries in the world. So that's why I mentioned तीसरी या चौथी बार मैं बात कर रहा हूँ कि we have to announce those critical reforms if we want that supply chain shift and if we really want to ensure that our economy goes back to that high growth path. Now coming to the market, there are two ways to look at the market. एक वे है, so 9,000 पे निफ्टी है. एक वे है देखने का कि नीचे से हमें we went to like around 7,600. We have gone up like 20-25%. Why we have gone up so much? We had 500 cases of corona. Now we have more than 1 lakh cases. The situation has not improved. Lockdown has got extended. Economic output is getting impacted. Then why market has gone up? So market has gone up because in March it came as a complete shock and markets fell like 40% in few days time because it was a complete black swan kind of event. ये क्या हो गया? किसी को नहीं समझा what has hit us. Now the world is coming to terms with it. People are getting hopeful that ultimately some vaccine will come. एक दिन कुछ एस्ट्राजेनेका का अनाउंसमेंट आता है, दूसरे दिन कोई मॉडर्ना कंपनी का आता है, तीसरे दिन कुछ ऑक्सफोर्ड का आता है, कुछ इजराइल में कुछ एंटीबॉडी पे कुछ हो रहा है. So people are hopeful something will come out. The amount of liquidity which has got unleashed by the central banks in the world and by the government stimulus everywhere is so strong that people think that they will try to contain the damage on the economy. And the third aspect is when markets fell so much, so many stocks became so cheap that even if you think that in next 1 or 2 years they are going to have losses or they will have far lesser profit or lower revenue, they were still looking very cheap, and then money came in into the market. But the other way to look at market is like market is down 20% from the peak even now, despite all the stimulus and everything. But that is also right because there is still a lot of uncertainty. There is uncertainty on this health crisis. किसी को नहीं पता है. Can there be a second wave of this in the winter? Can there be a third wave of the COVID-19 next year? How much time it will take for a vaccine? How much time it will take for a medication? Because it is asymptomatic, a person may not show any symptom and still can infect so many people. That makes it very, very tough to handle. कितना impact होगा, जितना भी stimulus अभी तक government ने दिया है, किसी को नहीं पता है. We'll have to wait and watch. I told you about the financial sector. We already had certain challenges in our financial system, and now there would be new NPAs. आप moratorium दे सकते हो 90 days के लिए, 180 days के लिए, but ultimately अगर business में इतना damage हो गया, balance sheet इतनी खराब हो गई, तो ultimately तो वो NPA हो जाएगा, तो वो risk है. And economy का as of now, nobody has a good handle that in next 1 year are we going to have a zero growth, -2%, -5%, and in that case, what kind of corporate profitability will come in 2021 and 22? But now, when we think as an investor and how we look at this situation, on one side, there are some of the positives that are listed. On another side, there are some of the risks that are listed. And we have to think from both the perspective. So we are looking at the situation as a lot of businesses will structurally benefit from it. I mean, I just give you one example like telecom sector. I mean, the amount of data that we are consuming today, they are a clear beneficiary. There are going to be opportunities in healthcare. There are going to be opportunities for a lot of businesses which can innovate on the digital side. I told you about the rural economy will be less impacted. There could be opportunities for several other businesses. कई जने बोलते हैं कंजम्पशन बहुत कम हो जाएगा. ऑफ कोर्स फर्क पड़ेगा, डिस्क्रिशनरी कंजम्पशन कम हो जाएगा, बट मेरे को लगता है जो बॉटम एंड ऑफ द पिरामिड में सम डिस्क्रिशनरी कंजम्पशन एज द गवर्नमेंट स्पेंड्स मोर मनी will be there. People are at home, they will consume maybe more kitchen appliances. In fact, we were looking at some of the Google trends. People are doing a lot of searches on air conditioner, on dishwasher, on some of the home appliances, etc. So it's not that completely consumption will completely go away. Some will be there. So there are ways to look at some of the opportunities, but at the same time there is a risk. So how are we looking at as fund manager? So it's very difficult to predict what kind of revenues or what kind of profits companies will have in 2020 and maybe 21. We have to look at the businesses which will not only survive this period, but will take the right steps and come out stronger as and when the normalcy returns. They need to have the capacity in their balance sheet. They should not have much leverage. They should have liquidity in hand or ability to raise capital or raise liquidity and invest in right kind of technology, right kind of things in next 1 or 2 years, that as and when the normalcy comes, they will not only survive, but they will thrive. And trying to identify those businesses. Now, a lot of people ask me about large cap, mid cap, small cap. Maybe we can discuss fund specific and all of that a little later. We have slightly different view than most of the people on that front. How are we looking at that? So I would say that for investors, near-term uncertainty is very high. You have to take a longer-term view. Next few months are going to be very volatile with so much of uncertainty. And I think if you are investing for long term, ensure that you continue your SIP and take advantage of this volatility. 2 minutes on the fixed income side, a lot has been like in the news flow. I would say that on the interest rate side, we believe rates, I mean, our view has been very positive on interest rates, and that's why we have been running higher duration and funds have benefited a lot. Agar aap fixed income funds ke returns dekhoge, to they have been like very, very good. All the duration funds are like double-digit returns in last 1-2 years. Some of the other funds have also delivered like high single-digit return, despite all the uncertainty on the rates and liquidity and credit and all that. Because I mean, we have always been very, very cautious and conservative on the credit fund. But industry also, just to take that point, or maybe during the Q&A we can touch upon some of the things that have happened in the industry and how are we looking at that situation. But I think there are, even on the fixed income side, because what will happen that a lot of people have become very cautious and want to say that I'll keep my money only in a saving account or maybe a bank deposit. But rates have fallen so much. I mean, your saving account is going to earn like 2.75 in SBI, and maybe I don't know, शायद वहाँ से भी नीचे आ जाए, इतनी liquidity है. SBI के पास पिछले 1 महीने में 1,20,000 crores की deposit आई है, which is like multiple of what they get in any month, because everybody is becoming very risk averse and putting money in cash in bank deposit, then that too with like one of the larger or safer names like SBI. But ultimately to then and put the tax on that, whatever 2.75, or if you go to some of the other banks, maybe you get slightly higher on that deposit. Structurally, I think people will look for even the fixed income funds as well as on the equity side. When the return differential will look so attractive, I'm sure some risk appetite will come back. But maybe on that note, I'll be happy to take any questions. The message that I want to leave with you is that in the near term, there are a lot of uncertainty. We are all hoping that over the next few months, we see some positive news flow on how do we deal with this health crisis, and over a period of time with the government stimulus and some of the other reform measures, etc., if we are able to contain the damage, at least from a medium term perspective. And there are some structural positives for the India that I've talked about. And as a fund manager, we have to prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a ton for this. It was a very elaborative actually thing. You touched based on almost all the things, all possible things. It will be a tricky thing for me to ask questions because just to tell all the audience that right now we have almost 300 participants on this webinar, and we have got more than 70 questions this time. Now I have shortlisted some of these questions. I'll ask you one by one. Before that, just want to tell you is that coming Wednesday, that is on 27th May, we have one session by Mr. Sanjeev Gokhale. This is in the evening at 6 o'clock. And please do join us. Everybody has this question on mind, whether to opt for an old regime or go for a new regime. Mr. Gokhale will actually tell us everything about that. And if you have any other tax related question, that also we can handle over there. Sir, with this, I'll move to the questions. My first question, sir, is from Mr. Vishal Gupta. Now, sir, you actually touched upon this, but he's asking that if an investor has a cash right now, is this a time to invest?
So if it is for very long term, then मतलब 10% इधर-उधर बहुत ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Otherwise, one option is to kind of stagger it over the next few months. As I mentioned, my view is that there is a lot of uncertainty. Markets will remain volatile. It's very difficult to pinpoint that level where you should just go and invest, simply because it can work in both manner. Suddenly, let's say tomorrow you get an announcement that the vaccine is going to come much earlier. Then market will take it very positively, and suddenly there could be like a few hundred points of rally in the market, and then you'll go and invest in the panic. It can it can work in completely other manner, where let's say the way we have started now opening up, suddenly the number of cases go up in Bombay or some of the other places, and people can get quite worried about the NPA situation or what will happen to the economy, etc. And market can fall few hundred points. As of now, generally whenever we discuss, there are times when I have very strong view on market. There are times when I don't have a very strong view on market. This is one of those times where it's very difficult to predict in the very near term. When we were speaking around 2 months back and index fell like 40%, we said that the valuations are like even attractive than 2008. After that, markets have gone up. But having said that, of course, there are some other positive also in the form of stimulus and some other reforms, etc. I would say maybe stagger it over the next few months, and then just wait for a few years, and I'm sure you'll be well compensated. If history is any guide, one of the biggest learning of these kind of crises is, of course, one can say that this crisis is different. But you see, in this century, there was a 9/11, which was like in the 2001, if you remember, when there was this World Trade Center fell. This was one of the biggest geopolitical risks that could come. And people thought this is like end of world and what will happen in terrorism and what has happened. But in another year or two, markets remained like low, but then we had like one of the biggest bull market of our time between 2003 and 2008. You look at the 2008 crash, what a massive crash, the biggest crash in our history, where 21,000 Sensex became 8,000 Sensex in one single year. But if you kept the patience, kept increasing your SIP during those down months also, you recovered your money in one single year. We have seen that in 2016 also, when market crashed, and then how they recovered in the next 2 years. So if history is any guide, there are different kinds of crises that comes to market, different kinds of crises that come in the economy. But I think if we keep that discipline and have the faith in the longer run, Generally, the history is when there is a very sharp correction and valuations become cheap, the next 3-5 years, generally, I mean, आज तक की history यही है, अगले 3-5 साल के returns बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. तो अभी तो hope यही है कि अगले 6 महीने साल भर का किसी को नहीं पता, मेरे को तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं पता market क्या होगा. But 3-5 साल में I think normalcy will come back and then good days will be back again. And you need to have faith on that.
Thank you, sir. So the next question is from Chinmay Pandya. He's asking that what percentage of allocation is fruitful among large cap, mid cap, and small cap with, I mean, like over next 2 years, and the horizon is of more than 10 years.
Yeah. So, I mean, I have a very strong view कि जब इस तरह के disruptions होते हैं जो अभी हो रहे हैं, and then over a period of time, you know, the kind of policy changes that will happen, the kind of consumer behavior changes that are happening, the kind of technological changes that are happening, जो digital revolution की मैं बात कर रहा था पहले, the kind of factor markets, labor market, land, you know, the power market. I mean, all of those, there are so many disruptions that are happening. It is not about the size of a company, that if you are large, everything is fine. If you are a mid or a small size, you will be in trouble. I don't look at the future like that. हमारी टीम में हमारा strongly मानना है कि ये ऐसा time है जहाँ पर अगर आपके अंदर एक adaptability है, if you have a nimbleness, if you have an agility, that is more important whether you are small or large than just the size of business. If you are a large size business, you may have a large debt also. You may have a large amount of fixed cost also. You may have your ability to change your business model is very difficult. आज अभी suddenly like Zoom, we didn't even know the name Zoom till 2 months back. How many of us knew about Zoom? And Zoom is like one of the most revered company and stock in the world out of nowhere. तो अब ये जो changes हो रहे हैं उसमें कोई भी आ सकती है. इसलिए हमने तो हमारा small cap fund जो 3-4 साल से बंद था, 2 साल पहले हमने SIP के लिए खोला, भी खोल दिया, because कई small companies होएगी which will be in a stronger position today because they can reorient their business model very easily, while a large company will find it very, very tough to change some other things. Of course, with large size, there is some stability that comes in, but there are opportunities for everybody. For investors, I would say a multi-cap fund where you get an opportunity to invest across sectors, across market capitalization, across styles. Maybe a hybrid equity fund where you get large cap, mid cap, small cap, you know, the fixed income, everything in one fund, depending on whatever you select the right kind of fund for each investor. And I don't have preference for large or mid or small. I have a very different view than most of the other people on this.
Great, that's really great to hear, sir. Sir, our next question is from Mr. Mohan Joshi. Now, he's saying that the FD rates have come down probably after yesterday's RBI rate cut. It will come down even further. In this view, what do you think that some of the debt funds which you spoke about, I know that, but compared to debt fund, what is the fate of hybrid funds which maintain 35% into debt at all time? Any view on
No,
that?
absolutely. Yeah. So of course, I mean, in a hybrid, the equity 65-70% is very overpowering in terms of the direction of overall returns, but still relative to an equity fund, because you have 30-35%, I mean, anywhere between 25 to 30% in fixed income, that provides relatively more stability compared to a normal equity fund. So usko equity fund se compare karna chahiye. On the fixed income side, he's absolutely right. FD rates have come down. FD rates may go down even more. After the yesterday's announcement of 40 basis point rate cut, banks are yet to react in terms of decreasing their cost of funds, because government and RBI, everybody wants lower interest rate, and they want lower lending rates, but for that deposit rates will also have to fall. And so much of liquidity is there. Banks are, particularly the stronger banks like SBI, actually are not looking at like getting more deposits at this point in time. They will discourage. So in that case, let's say a corporate bond fund where you have very high quality corporate bonds. Most of them are like PSUs or few private sector. Maybe a banking and PSU debt fund where the money is invested in some other banks and PSU debt. Maybe a short-term debt fund where you have high quality debt instruments, short-term debt instruments. Maybe even I would say even a gilt fund. While I think the spreads are attractive, and that's why I think corporate bond fund and banking and PSU debt fund can do better. But if you are so fearful about everything and only looking at like deposit जैसा ही चाहिए, so maybe gilt fund में price movement हो सकता है काफी, because interest rates ऊपर जाएगी, एक साल return थोड़ा कम ज़्यादा हो जाएगा, but ultimately your money is in government securities. So from that perspective, credit risk is not there, interest rate risk is there. So depending on your risk appetite, I mean, you can suggest a right fund to them.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question is from Mr. Nitin Pandit. He's asking that yesterday, since RBI governor himself said that this year our GDP is going to get might enter into negative territory. In this scenario, what will be the impact on the mutual fund schemes? Is it related, or how it can pan out?
So in some manner related hai. If the GDP is going to be negative, which we have never seen in our lifetime, obviously that will impact companies' revenues also. That will impact companies' profitability also. And when companies' profitability go down, then stock prices go down, which are there in our portfolio. What is a stock price? A stock price is just the slave of the earning power of the underlying company. When underlying companies make money, stocks go up and our NAV goes up. But market is smart. So let's say if the GDP is going to go down, let's say 5% negative growth, you will have 2-3% of, let's say, inflation. So nominal GDP goes down 1 or 2% this year. Maybe corporate profits go down. I'm just putting a number. I mean, there is no sanctity of it because it's too early. We are in the month of May. We have another 10 months to go. World can change. Nobody really knows. People are talking about V-shaped recovery, W-shaped recovery, U-shaped, L-shaped, I-shaped, all-shaped. So nobody knows. But I'm just trying to explain it. So, but market is smart. Market fell 40% even when you didn't know whether GDP will fall or not. And markets are still down 20-25%. There are a lot of stocks which are down 50%, 60%, 70 or 80% because they are already pricing in a decline in GDP and a huge decline in revenues and a bigger decline in the profits or maybe losses in some of the businesses. The way we look at it, in India, when we buy stocks, a good part of the value comes from how much money company will make from 2022 to 2025 to 30 to 40 to 50 over the next 20-30 years in the lifetime of a company. Now, what I need to look at is the next 1 or 2 years, how much earnings will go down. Maybe they will make losses. But if you take the worst case scenario and you think the valuations are reasonable, then you invest. So coming to the mutual fund industry, obviously, if there is an overall GDP decline, maybe I think our flows will be less. Maybe returns have not been good, but there are some positive in the fixed income returns are higher. Why the gilt fund and all corporate bond fund and have given good returns? Because GDP is declining. That's why interest rates are falling. So you are making money on the fixed income side. And that's what I like about you guys in NICWell, that you kind of do the proper asset allocation for every investor, that you have to be in all asset classes. एक अच्छा करेगा तो दूसरा जब अच्छा नहीं करा तो दूसरी asset अच्छा करेगी. Plus, I think gold there could be an opportunity like gold prices. People who had money in gold ETF or gold fund, they have made some money this year.
Nowadays, sir, everybody is talking about gilt fund SIP, which is giving 5-year gilt fund SIP is giving close to 8% annualized returns or something like that. So,
हाँ, but उसमें क्या होता है कई बार आप past return देख के उसको extrapolate मत करिए because आज की तारीख में gilt का yield is 6%. So incrementally, you have to take that also into account.
Right. So I'll just move on to the next one. Next question is from Mr. Rishabh Kejriwal. He's asking, what is your view on adding gold to one's portfolio when gold has already seen a huge growth in past 1 year?
Yeah. So gold has done very well. In fact, we have a multi-asset allocation fund where we invest in equity, bonds as well as gold, and we were overweight gold. In fact, our gold ka weight till few days back was like till few weeks back was more than 20%. For a long time we kept overweight because our view tha that gold can do well. Even now, so I'll explain it like this. Gold allocation should be like an insurance policy in your portfolio. A small allocation, just like an insurance policy. Let me explain. If something really goes wrong, if let's say there is a big geopolitical risk between US and China, in that case, gold prices will go up. But in that case, your equity portfolio may fall, or there could be risk even on the bond portfolio, and gold will do well. So gold should be kept as like if everything else is not doing well, gold will do well. But if your gold fund is not doing well, you should feel very happy because most likely it will happen that when gold is not doing well, your equity and the other portfolio is doing well, because that means global growth is good, The central banks don't have to print so much of money, which leads to like depreciation of currencies, which lead to appreciation in the gold. So gold should be like गाड़ी खरीदे तो एक insurance policy भी ले लेते हैं.
Yeah, but definitely not a physical format, sir, right?
Yeah. No. So sovereign gold fund is good. Gold bonds are good because you get that 1-2% interest also. बट अगर आप 1-2 साल के लिए टेक्निकल कॉल ले रहे हैं कि अल्टीमेटली आपको इक्विटी में ही लगाना है, फिक्स इनकम में ही लगाना है, थोड़े से टाइम के लिए लगाए, तो गोल्ड ईटीएफ में या गोल्ड फंड में लगा दीजिए.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question is a bit tricky one. It's by Mr. Karthik D. He's asking, is it still better option to invest in shares directly?
So मैं तो यही कहूँगा कि see, if you have lot of resources at your end, we have a 60-member team and an experience as a fund house of like over 30 years. We meet like hundreds of companies, their suppliers, their customers, their competitors, their employees at all levels, policy makers, of all of that. We do, huge amount of deep research to identify, good quality stocks for you. And for a small fee, you get the benefit of the resources that we have put in place. But you think that, you have that expertise, you understand balance sheets well, you understand businesses well, you have access to management, or maybe without that also, you have a good track, a record of identifying the good stocks. One can always do it. Market is like available to everybody, and then you can do it. But I would say that you get a diversified portfolio for a very small amount of fee from professional fund managers.
Thank you, sir. Sir, the next question is from Siddharth Dwarkani. It is actually on the similar line. He's saying that to reduce the volatility, should I look at the Nifty stocks only? Or like Nifty funds or large cap funds in that way?
So, I've explained it before that my strong view is that the kind of changes which are happening in the world today, and what this crisis has brought about, there are going to be massive paradigm shift in every business, or in policies, or in, as I mentioned, consumer behavior, in technology, all of those fronts. And with all of those changes, it's not about the size alone. It's about the quality of the management, their ability to invest in the right things in right places and come out stronger from this. And I give you a similar parallel from 1991. In 1991, when big reforms happened, you go back and check what kind of companies were there in the Sensex that time and where they are today. Infosys was like, they were finding it tough to get their IPO subscribed. People had to underwrite that IPO. It was a micro cap company and it has become such a mega cap company. Or so many companies in the IT sector, in pharmaceuticals, in media, some of the consumer companies that came in 90s. Let's say one of the largest private sector bank, SDFC Bank, was like maybe a micro cap company when it started as a new bank, but turned out to be came out to be the biggest market cap company in India today. So it's the ability to identify the right company rather than the market capitalization alone. That's how I will put it. So we have a slightly different view than most of the people, that today it's all about identifying the right management and the right business rather than looking at purely from a size perspective.
Thank you. So yeah, I was aware that you have actually said on the similar lines, but I thought of taking this question. Thank you, sir. Sir, one more question from Mr. Sanjeev Valavalkar. He's saying, what is your view on SIP? Can we suspend it for next few months, or should we continue to do that?
Thanks for asking that, and because that's a very, very important question. And I give you a parallel of 2008 because I have that the experience of, because a lot of SIPs came in 2007-8 when markets were going up. People were very happy investing in the equity market, and then a big crash happened in the month of October. And I remember in SBI, a lot of people stopped their SIPs or canceled their SIP. What happened during the 6 or 8 months when the Sensex moved between 8 and 10,000, their SIPs remained stopped. They were investing when the Sensex was 15,000 and 20,000. They stopped when it was between 8 and 10. And again, after a few months, Sensex went back to 14, 16,000. Now they did not average it out properly. They could not recover their money for next 2 or 3 years. But the people who kept averaging are the ones who ended up making money from the equity funds. It's very important. The whole logic of SIP is to take advantage of when market is going down also, because you don't want to do the market timing. Now, when market was going up, you were very happy seeing your statement of account. I mean, I've invested 100 lakh, 1,40,000, the value is 1,70,000. But today when you are seeing the value has become from 1,40,000 to maybe a 1,20,000 or 30,000, if you don't average it next few months, and if you are an SIP investor for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years or more, you should feel very happy when market goes down, because those are the months where maximum number of units are coming in your statement. So for an SIP investor, should always be happy when market goes down, not when market goes up, honestly. So I would say that don't put a pause. I don't know about the market. I'm not giving a prediction market will start going up. But actually, if market goes down in next 6 months, you'll keep accumulating more units.
Thank you, sir. So I think so with that, we come to an end for the question, at least from the investor side. I'll just check with Nikhil, sir, if in case he has any question.
No, I think thank you, sir, for a wonderful session. I just wanted to ask you that, these are the times when people are actually, at times people tend to become extremely irrational. And one of the things that I thought was, I keep telling investors that when in extreme bull run or extreme bear market, we all say that this time it is different. And actually we need to say that this too shall pass. And, yeah. So, in good times also we have to remind that, things cannot be best or better all the time. And so how does one as an investor or an investment manager remain rational in these times? Because, it's that quality of an investor that can actually separate him from being emotionally volatile when the markets are extremely volatile.
So I think that's a very great point that you made, Nikhil, that people get over exuberant when markets are going up. January 2008, where mid-cap valuations were like so high and people get overexcited. I mean, we look at a lot of parameters. One of the things that we look at on Google is how many people are searching for best stock to buy, multi-bagger stock ideas and all, and that like went up very sharply. And on the other side, I mean, in the month of March when markets crash, and we have seen several of those moments in your career, you have seen so many of them, and several of your investors have seen so many of them. Suddenly people become very, very cautious. Like we had this question, should we put a pause to the SIP? And we are seeing there are people who are canceling their SIP, they are putting pause. Some could be genuine reasons, you need money in your business, or maybe, I mean, that you need some cash immediately and you don't have the money. But otherwise, if you don't have that urgency, I mean, you should actually increase the SIP, not decrease it. And so I think ensuring that you don't go to these two extremes, becoming extremely greedy and becoming extremely fearful. I think if we can keep our sanity when everybody else is losing theirs, I think that's the way to be successful in the investing field over a long period of time. I think every time, I mean, when you see that making money has become very easy and it is too good to be true, it is too good to be true. Don't believe really in that fad or in that investment. On the other side, when it looks like you can only lose money in the stock market or in the bond market, those are generally the time to get into the market for long run. And every crisis in the world, and abhi to ye 21st century mein humne first 20 year mein itne dekh liye hain, like whether it was 9/11 or whether let's say 26/11 for India, or the 2008 market crash or 2016 market crash, or what we have seen now in oil prices. Who would have thought negative prices and all? But we know the history of the world that after that it comes out stronger. I remember I give an example of the example of 9/11, and I remember airline stocks were like kind of crash because people said, boss, after this crash, who's going to travel in the air? But the airline industry at the best time after that. And again, now a lot of people are saying that people will never travel, people will never go out. There is something in our DNA for hundreds or thousands of years. We want to socialize. We want, and I know, Nikhil, I mean, you are doing all of these virtual events. You are taking huge advantage of digital technology. You can do that continuously, but you would love to again be with your clients because I mean, you are emotionally so attached with them. There is a joy in meeting in person and having coffee together. That will not change in humanity, and things will come back to normalcy. And in India, we have in last 1,000 years, we have handled much bigger crisis than what we are seeing now. The number of people who die in TB are much more than the number of people who can die in coronavirus. The number of people who die every day in road accidents are higher than the number of people who are dying in this. So the world is not coming to an end, and every crisis has led to amazing new innovations. I mean, look at this innovation. How many times you had these kind of Zoom calls? नहीं, आप physical meetings ही करते थे. अभी suddenly 2, 3, 500 investors easily. I mean, the number of people I have met. And similarly, a lot of innovations will happen in every business. Could our industry, together with the advisors like you, who have always been very particular about reaching out to clients through the technological means, etc., because you always invested in that. Today, I mean, none of your client is feeling कि मेरा redemption नहीं जा रहा है, मेरा subscription नहीं जा रहा है, मेरा SIP का amount change करना है, कुछ fund में switch करना है. You are doing it so easily. Our industry never thought that. I mean, a 25 lakh crore mutual fund industry, thousands of advisors working so well, and none of the investors are like really saying कि boss मेरा investment नहीं हो रहा, आराम से काम चल रहा है, because crisis leads to newer innovations. And I think this is what will happen. I mean, we know about our industry, but I hear that from a lot of other industries, what kind of innovations they are thinking about. So this too shall pass. And I always end with this quote that I strongly believe dark clouds are always followed by a shining sun. I don't know how dark they can get. आपके तो अभी actually बाहर वो कुछ clouds दिख रहे हैं. I don't know whether this is a picture or real. Dark clouds are always followed by. अभी कितना dark होगा अपने को नहीं पता है. अभी बॉम्बे में जो situation है, I don't know. Maybe next 15 days we have to handle monsoon this year, which is going to be very difficult with this health crisis. 4 महीने में कोई vaccine नहीं आने वाला है. So we have to be prepared for tough times next few months. But I mean, it's the tough times don't last. Tough people do. And your investors, thankfully, they are in good hands. And I'm sure with the right kind of advice over the next few years, they will feel good about this crisis, that we could really take advantage of that crisis and could actually meet our financial goals better than what we otherwise could have met. So dark clouds are always followed by a shining sun. This time won't be any different.
Thank you for that. Actually, somebody just commented, thank you for the positivity. And there's a question that I mean, I would have loved to end on this note because it's a brilliantly summed up note. But your note on Indian of the Year is widely read. But Mr. Rege has asked,
Person of the Year.
Yeah, person of the year. Who will be the person of the year for the half year that has passed by in 2020?
So ये साल तो बहुत ही interesting है. But I tell you, the last year my person of the year was capitalism with conscience. And you think about it, the way world is today. And in the world today, while governments are trying their best, the way community is working, the way businesses are trying to help the community, the capitalism with conscience, that you want to make money but with a good conscience. And I think it's clearly coming out. And going forward, I think more and more communities will play a much bigger role, while businesses will play a role, governments will play a role, but are your neighborhood, the way housing societies are working together and dealing with this situation innovatively, the way people are going out of their way to help the community, all of that, I think this is very interesting. In fact, in my 2018 person of the year were those Thai cave rescuers. But it was not about the Thai cave. It was like how the whole world came together to rescue some of those people who got stuck in that cave in Thailand in 2018. I mean, different people tried different innovations and finally all of those kids got saved. And today people are saying that globalization has ended. There is a fight between US and China and all. But there is another kind of globalization coming in. People are getting together. People are coming nearer to each other. Thanks to the digital technology, we are able to converse with each other. There is message going around and there is a sense of positivity that can come in the society. And maybe something related to that, I'm thinking, will be the lesson of 2020, that itna bada crisis, humanity never had a one single enemy. where 750 crore log, matlab 7 billion people are together fighting against one enemy. This will get human beings more together than each other. We'll talk about like, okay, shift the supply chain here, I will consume here, I will buy more local goods and all. But the other way to look at it is that human beings will come together more and more to share their positivity, share their stories, and it's happening thanks to the digital technology. So I feel a lot more positive about the world. More innovations will come, more kind of new innovations will come. And I always say constraint is the necessity for innovation. अब जब constraint हो गया, घर बैठे तो हम कुछ नई चीजें सोच रहे हैं अपने आप. So अच्छा ही होगा. So we have to feel
all
positive.
of us, India is a great jugaad country. I mean, we converted running coaches into quarantine homes, so we know how to get best out of the limited resources that we have. So on that note, thank you, sir. I'm sure the
Thank you.
and will bring a lot of silver lining for all of us, and we will meet you in person sometime with all the investors on a very much happier and a wealthier note. With that, I hand over to Rishabh for Amay, you want to comment, or you can just hand over to Rishabh.
And I always look forward to your events, and I hope that will have sooner than later.
That's really great of you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I'll
thank you,
just
sir.
request to Yash.
Yeah, so thank you, Navneet sir. It was really a positive and insightful session that you delivered. You really gave an amazing outlook about a positive and realistic view about the pandemic. You really gave a good bifurcation about the stimulus of 20 lakh crore, which was not really clear up to people that what has happened with that. You showed good challenges and opportunities of about India and how will it impact about the market and overall investing in terms of investing in the markets. I would like to, it was a really insightful session and would love to have many sessions with you in the future in person. I would like, on behalf of NICWEL and Nike Insurance Broking I would like to thank you for it. I would like to thank my team members. Without your relentless efforts, these webinars were not possible. And last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants to have you. You are a wonderful audience to have. And just before leaving, I would like to remind you that we have another webinar with Mr. Sanjeev Gokhale on Wednesday related to tax issues. So you can please register for this webinars. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
All the participants have a great evening. Thank you. We'll log off now.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks, Rishabh. All of you. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thanks a lot.